Good morning, class. Happy Thursday, April 30, last day in April, which means we have 1 month left of this school year. Kind of a bizarre end. In some ways, it seems like the end is coming quick, but in a lot of ways, it seems like we've been doing this online experience forever, and it's taking a long time. Today's learning target is to describe the impact of the Industrial Revolution, the effects of it. Our plan for today: first, I'll give you some details about retakes for this week. There are a couple of review quizzes that you should do before tomorrow. We are going to do some research for what we do next week about the impact of the Industrial Revolution, and then I will give you details on the quiz that will take place tomorrow. So the work that needs to get done first, there is a quote quiz end quote tomorrow. That is a classwork grade. It will be open note, but it will lock your Chromebook, so make sure your notes are available, and once again you have review materials to use as well. Second, that research should be done by Monday, so you've got today, tomorrow, and the weekend if necessary to complete it. 10 a.m. I'll explain more in a second. First thing I want to say for the agenda is the retakes. If you would like to retake the PowerPoint rankings or retake the quick write that you did yesterday, you may do that. For the quick write, you can update it through a private comment. For the PowerPoint rankings, you can just update the PowerPoint. Once you resubmit it, please let me know by leaving a private comment. Retakes for those two things are due Friday, 3 p.m., as are all retakes for this week. Second thing is on Google Classroom. I will be posting, it's not there yet, but I will be posting on this post right here, Industrial Revolution Review Materials, and I will move this to the top of the Google Classroom stream for you. I will be posting links to a Kahoot and Quiz-Is review. You already have a video, a Prezi, and a Quizlet to use. So I'll be adding 2 more. That is once again preparation for tomorrow's quiz as well as for future assessments too. So please make sure you do that. Now once again, that quiz will take place tomorrow. Here are the results from your quick writes for those that responded. A couple people didn't, or they responded in a way they weren't supposed to. But out of all of the responses, and there's 39 total here, almost 70% of you said that the steam engine was the most important. And if I'm being honest, I can't disagree. About 15% said it was the telegraph. One thing that I was pretty surprised by is that only 2 out of the 39 students thought that the Bessemer process was the most important. I'm going to challenge you on that. Realize the ability to create steel instead of iron is going to profoundly shape how buildings look, railroads, etc. And I think if you consider just how much of what we have today is made from steel, the fact that this process allowed us to make more of it in a cheaper, more efficient way, maybe it's being discredited by only having 5% of the total vote. A couple people chose the cotton gin, 1 person chose the sewing machine. I think 1 person chose the spinning jenny as well. I'm not sure. I think it's the orange one here. Wouldn't show up on the chart. Nobody chose the power loom, which is sad. What I want you to think about is what makes each one of these important. For the steam engine, it's obviously just the fact that it's a power source. For the telegraph, you can argue that the ability to communicate and the fact that we have now improved the telegraph even way more today with email and texting and everything. Maybe communication's more valuable than the power source. Maybe you think it's just the fact that you can make steel. Being able to build with this material, that's more important. Steel can be used to help these 2 things as well. It's a little tricky once you get to the cotton gin, sewing machine, spinning jenny, power loom, etc. Just because all of those things are necessary to make cloth, it's hard to argue why one's more important than the other. You maybe could argue cotton gin, not so much because it helps pick cotton, but because of how it led to a huge increase in slavery, which is undeniably a massive part of U.S. and world history. So it's important, but maybe for a bad reason. But just something for you to further consider, put a little more extra thought into. A couple key vocab words before we start the work today. One is urbanization. The urbanization of a society is when people are moving from rural areas to cities. So it is the growth of urban city areas. The urbanization of the world is part of the reason why this pandemic has spread so much, and the main reason why a place like New York City or Boston or New Orleans or big cities in Spain and Italy, where you have more people in a small space, are hit much harder by COVID-19 than areas that are more rural, country. Fewer people means less spread of this disease. Part of urbanization is the fact that you have more people. And if more people are living in the same space, like a city, that means you need living spaces for them. That would take the shape of tenement buildings during the Industrial Revolution, which are multi-story buildings. There are many floors, and each floor has apartments, and these apartments are small, and they are crowded because you need to fit more people in a smaller space. And when you can't go wider, you've got to go taller, which is why they're multi-story and why skyscrapers start to emerge from this time period. Also, as we have an increase in work in business and industry, workers start to fight for their rights. This takes the shape of labor unions, which still exist today. This is an organization of workers. They will fight for wages, for safety conditions, for how long they work. All of that is promoted by labor unions against the industries and businesses they work for. The reason I'm bringing up these terms is because it will help you do your research. The question that your research will be focusing on is, did the Industrial Revolution achieve, quote, progress from a, quote, Christian perspective, end both quotes. This is the second essential question for this class. I want you to focus on it specific for this time period, the Industrial Revolution. Before you can answer this question, what you need to figure out, and I would spend some time thinking about this. In fact, I'd encourage you to ask each other about it, even ask your parents about it to gain some insight from other people, is one, what does progress really mean? And two, what does it look like from a Christian point of view? Because I would argue that progress for a Christian would and should look different than progress does from someone who is not. So coming up with a definition of what this actually means is probably the first step you're going to have to take. What I need you to do is research as many positives and negatives of the Industrial Revolution as you possibly can. The more examples you have, several, extensive, and exhaustive list, many, the easier the work will be next week. And I'll explain more about what next week's work looks like next week. I'm not going to do that today. Today, just worry about the research. So what that means is on this Google Doc that's posted on Google Classroom, in this chart, positives versus negatives, write down as many examples using your own words as possible. You are, as it says up top, allowed to work with a partner or a group of three. You can share this document, work on it together. However, I am expecting each student to turn in their own individual copy. So if you work with other people, that's fine, but make a copy of it and turn in your own separate version. Do not have one person turn it in for the whole group or for your partner. That's not something I'll accept. Also note at the top it says you need to cite at least 5 reliable sources. What you need to do to make sure your sources are reliable is use Sweet Search to find your information. All you need to do in this space below is copy and paste the links to the sources you're using. I don't need a full MLA citation. Once again, a minimum of 5. And I actually would encourage you to work with a partner or a group of 3. Realize I have 2 sections of this. It's not just only 3rd hour, only 6th hour. You can work, if you're in 3rd hour, with someone from 6th hour and vice versa. That's totally fine. Okay. I'm going to put this, I should add this now before I get Use your own words. Okay, don't just copy and paste from the website. Use your own words, please, so I know you actually understand it. Okay, so that is due, once again, Monday, 10 a.m. So you've got multiple days to do this because I do expect it to be done well. I do expect your research to be extensive and detailed, which is why I'm giving you more time. More time means better work. That's the expectation. Also, I have helped you start this by, on Google Classroom, go back here, adding a PDF with some primary sources, Factory Life primary sources that you can use to help you do the research. In fact, I'm expecting you to use this. At the bottom of each source, it tells you what the source is, so that's what you would copy and paste on the research chart down here. There are a couple of them, 4 I believe, that you can use. This is just to help you get a first-hand glance of what life looked like, and you can draw positives and negatives from that. Just make sure you use your own words once again. Last thing for today, you are having a quiz tomorrow. This is a classwork grade. It'll be just like before with other quizzes, open note, but your Chromebooks will be locked, so have your notes available in a different way. And the difference is this quiz will be a bit shorter than other ones, and it's only a classwork grade. The content of this quiz will cover 1, the origins and causes of the Industrial Revolution. We took notes on that earlier this week. Where did it start? Why did it start there? 2, it will cover the technology. We talked about 7 different ones. You should be able to know 1, what each technology did, and 2, what made each technology important. So that will happen tomorrow. It'll be posted at 10 a.m. and it'll be due by 3 p.m. Friday. If you have questions about anything, please let me know. Otherwise, I will talk to you more next week. Have a wonderful weekend.